What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to try something completely new because I thought we'd have a little break from just playing FM on the channel. This is Total Extreme Wrestling 9. It is a wrestling booking game, and I thought we'd do some wrestling. I say do some wrestling. You're not going to see any actual wrestling. We're going to book some shows, have some fun. I'm going to tell some stories, and we're going to try and give you guys some entertainment. So, the format of the series, very, very straightforward. I'm going to present the show without comment, essentially, so you can just sit and enjoy and watch the shows if you want to, and then we'll go through all the meta stuff. I'll talk through all the decision making, all the actual game mechanics stuff after we've done that. Very straightforward, very simple. Hopefully everyone will be able to follow on, and let me know in the comments below what you think. If there's something you want to see more of, we'll do more of it. So without any further ado, let's get into the show. We open in a darkened arena, the silhouette of a man barely visible, his voice digitally disguised. For over a century, this business has captivated the world. Thousands in the arenas, millions watching at home on television. And for 75 of those years, one name has been synonymous with the absolute pinnacle of this business: McMahon. For 3/4 of a century, people were told that if they wanted to be a star, they had to work for McMahon. Gorgeous George, Bruno Sammartino, Buddy Rogers, Jesse Ventura, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, The Rock, The Undertaker, John Cena. One name was behind every single one of those stars: McMahon. Generation upon generation knew that there was one absolute truth in this business. If you wanted to be the biggest name, to make the most money, to perform on the biggest stage, you called McMahon. A few years ago, that stopped being true. Overnight, the one constant in this business disappeared. Tonight, we begin to restore order. We replant the flag. We tell the world that the truth is still this: if you want to be a star in professional wrestling, you call McMahon. The lights come on, revealing our arena and, more importantly, Shane McMahon. I am not my father. For years, my father told me that I wasn't good enough as a businessman and as a person. In 1996, I said to my father, "Hey, we should buy ECW," and he told me, "Son, ECW will never make any money." And not 10 years later, it was making you almost as much money as WrestleMania. In 1994, I said to my father, "Hey, we should buy the Ultimate Fighting Championship." And you said, "No, son, it's just a fad. That'll never make money." Well, Dad, now they own our family empire, and you're sitting at home, scratching your ass, fighting lawsuits and trying to play movie producer. Your name, my grandfather's name, in ruins. The most respected name in this industry reduced in history to a place alongside Epstein and Nixon. Well, you might be willing to take this lying down. The fight may be gone, and you may never have believed in me for a single day, but damn it, I'm going to take it all back. Starting tonight. He stares dead into the camera for a second. You see, my father never believed in second chances for anyone but himself. Not for me, his own son. Not for any of the thousands of men and women his machine chewed up and spit out over the years. But me? I think second chances are important. I think you can get a second chance to make a first impression. This is Global Pro Wrestling, and today, we start handing out second chances. A short video package plays which welcomes us live from Los Angeles to GPW Second Chances. Pyro display fills the arena and our commentators welcome us to the show. Kevin Kelly tells us that tonight, 8 men and 15 women will have opportunities to become the first ever male and female world champions in this company, but that everyone that gets eliminated will receive a second chance at glory tomorrow night with an opportunity to become a tag team champion. He introduced his broadcast colleagues, Jonathan Coachman and Jerry the King Lawler, and they run down the card for tonight. In the men's title tournament, Carl Fredericks, the former Eddie Thorpe, will take on Adam Scherr, once known to the world as Braun Strowman. Oliver Carter, once known as Oro Mensah, takes on the lone wolf Bishop Dyer. Shinsuke Nakamura faces off against Fabian Eichner, whilst an independent wrestling legend, Mike Quackenbush, finally gets his chance on the biggest stage against Cedric Alexander. The winners of those matches will face off tomorrow night, and those winners will go into a triple threat match for the title against the winner of the men's First Impressions Rumble in tomorrow's main event. In the women's bracket, we'll see 5 triple threat matches, the winners of which will qualify alongside the winner of the women's First Impressions Rumble for a 6-way match to determine the first ever women's world champion. Those triple threat matches are as follows. Saraya takes on Elena Black and Courtney Stewart. Shayna Baszler takes on Priscilla Kelly and Valentina Reese. Shotzi takes on her former tag team partner Nixon Newell and Jamara Garrett. Daria Baranato takes on Carissa Rivera and Bea Priestley, but in the historic opening contest in Global Pro Wrestling, King Kota, once known as Dakota Kai, takes on longtime friends and tag team partners Casey Catanzaro and Lacey Lane. We then go to a video package where King Kota talks about her feelings of betrayal, having been a centerpiece of Damage Control, having fought at WrestleMania, having carried the company on her back when others were too badly hurt to show up, and having been tossed aside and thanked for her service like she was the maid. Meanwhile, we get an interview with Casey and Lacey together, where they recount how they've never been taken seriously as single stars, and as a tag team, they never got given opportunities. How grateful they are to be given a second chance to prove themselves in front of an audience, and how, even though they might be fighting for one spot in the final tonight, they aren't going to put their friendship aside. They've been through everything together, but they're both mature enough to be in the same match and let the best woman win, because best friends back each other till the end. We then go to our opening contest, where we get a reasonably decent looking match for this stage in proceedings, and in this match we've got obviously King Kota. She goes over in this one, it says here a double foot stomp. We're not really playing like that. We're essentially, this is where I mess it all up. We've gone so well. Essentially a solid opening match. They get out there, they wrestle cleanly until the end, when Lacey's making her way back into the ring from the outside. Casey rolls up Kota with her feet on the ropes and the referee unsighted. Lacey breaks up the pin and tells Casey, "We don't win like that. We've never been those girls. We're not doing that tonight." Taking advantage of their disagreement, Kota drop kicks Casey into Lacey, who spills out of the ring and takes a flash roll up for the 3 count and the win, and King Kota is in the final. After the match, we've got Lacey and Casey arguing in the ring, Lacey making a point of telling her partner she's disappointed in her for taking shortcuts before leaving her alone in the ring. And then the commentary team throws to the video package for our opening men's bracket contest, where Mike Quackenbush talks us through his history on the indies, how he tried to break through to the big time, but nobody ever returned his calls. So he tried to be a good soldier to help the industry. He opened Shikara, he opened the Wrestle Factory, he trained guys who went on to become top stars and they left him behind. He tells us how surprised he was to get the call to be here tonight, but he's ready to take the opportunity to prove himself with both hands. Cedric, meanwhile, tells us how happy he is to be given, finally, the respect he deserves. He tells us he's been the best in the business for too damn long. He spent his whole life being told to go here, go there, do this, be more like this guy, hang with these guys. Not anymore. Cedric Alexander is his own damn man, and he's going to be his own damn champion. He's sorry that it came down to him and Quack, a man he respects, but he's just a name on a match card to him tonight, an obstacle between himself and his legacy. And we get a match which is predictably quite good in the ring. As they come out, Cedric comes out and tells the crowd he's the best in the world. There's nobody going to stop him. And the announcers put him over as having all the tools and just needing to focus to be successful. Then as Quack comes out, the announcers put over his legacy in the industry, not just talking about Shikara and the Wrestle Factory, but listing the names he had a hand in training. Alexa Bliss, Chad Gable, Orange Cassidy, Claudio Castagnoli, Eddie Kingston, Wheeler Yuta, and Aleister Black. They describe him as the foundation of modern professional wrestling and a chance to claim some glory for himself at last. We obviously get a really good technical match here, which Quack picks up the win. It says Shikara special. We're actually going with the Quack and Driver. Makes no real difference, but he's going to go through to the finals to proceed into the, semi-finals, as it is. And then after the match, Quack offers Cedric a handshake, but he just shakes his head and walks off. We then get the rundown package for our next match, where Bea Priestley tells us how she managed to make her way from the UK Indies to the top of the industry in the US. She talks about how people used to accuse her of only getting where she was because of who she was sleeping with, but she worked hard, she proved herself, and she was let go before she could truly establish her legend. Carissa Rivera knows about legends. Her father was a legend. and she was forced to announce his name and legacy to get a shot at making it. No more. She's proud of who she is. She's proud of her legacy, and she's going to do whatever it takes to show people that she's a star in the making. She makes it known that she never wanted to be typecast as the angry Latina, but when she was forced to be ashamed of who she was and where she came from, it made her angry. Now, she tells us, she's going to make sure nobody ever forgets the Rivera name again. And then finally, we find Daria Berenato in her natural habitat. She's working out in an MMA gym. She talks about her achievements, that she fought for equality to become the first openly gay woman in WWE. She became a tag team champion. She became a general manager. She busted glass ceilings time and time again until someone told her she was done. She didn't decide she was done. They forced her out. She talks about how she's coming back to her roots. California is where she fought in the cage. It's where she knocked girls out and tapped them out. If people wanted to prove herself all over again, she's going to do it. And then we get into a match where we've got Daria and Beeve trying to fight it out to prove themselves as competitors, but Carissa has other ideas because there's no disqualifications in a triple threat match. So she comes in eventually swinging a chair, she takes out both of her opponents with it, and pins Bea in the end after DDTing her onto a chair. We throw to another video package and we find Bishop Dyer in a bar where he's nursing a whiskey. He tells us he's been a lone wolf his entire life, but he's made a career out of proving the people who underestimated him wrong. They told him he couldn't be a boxer, and he became a 2-time Golden Gloves champion. They said you'll never make it as a football player, and he played in the NFL. Jiu-Jitsu, he's a world champion. Then he says people were surprised that he made it in professional wrestling. He's won singles titles, tag team titles, tournaments, battle royals, Money in the Bank, King of the Ring, and still people doubt him. Big mistake. Next up, we meet Oliver Carter, and he's sitting in an airport lounge in LAX. When you talk about an international superstar, you think of greatness, guys who travelled the world and won it all. Eddie Guerrero, Jushin Liger, Terry Funk, Kenny Omega, Ric Flair. Seems to me that a lot of the criteria for being an international superstar is travel. Is travel a lot and win a lot. Well, he says, I travelled. Born in Nigeria, raised in Switzerland, came to the United States. I've won gold in Germany, Switzerland, the UK. They've learned to fear me in Italy and Prague. You want boxes ticked? I've got them. I am the definition of an international star. People talk a lot about legacy. Let's talk about my legacy. There has never been a Nigerian world champion. There has never been a Swiss world champion. Unlike Bishop Dyer, nobody handed me a career in this business. I took my chances, all of them. Well, this is a chance. You know how this ends. And then we go to the match, which is a really short one, 36 seconds. The bell rings, Dyer yells, count it. We're back to his NXT gimmick in a lot of ways. The crowd does, Carter rushes him, end of days, call it. Job done. 36 seconds, and this one is over. Bishop Dyer, the winner, going forward to the next round, which takes us to our next package for our match, where Jamara Garrett is up first. And she's telling us that she feels like the underdog because she's giving up a lot of experience to her opponents. She knows how well they know each other, but she's also coming out with something to prove because nobody has seen her at her best yet. Then we go to Shotzi, who talks about how she's tagged with Nixon Newell. She's fought her. She's never quite sure if they're friends or enemies, but assures us the past doesn't matter right now. If Nixon wants to team up and take this one-on-one, they'll do that. But she better not be sleeping on her as a challenger because she's here to win it all. And then we go to Nixon, and she just looks at the camera and goes, she said we were friends? Adorable. And gets up and walks away. And then we go to the match, which seems to have performed not nearly as well as I thought it would do in the game, but that's life. Match opens with Nixon going straight for Shotzi, making sure she knows they aren't friends. Every time Jamara tries to get involved in the match, they just kind of toss her aside, keep fighting. Nixon finally catches Shotzi with the shiniest wizard and covers, but Jamara breaks it up, and Shotzi is out cold. Now we're down to Nixon and Jamara one-on-one. Nixon's a ball of rage, but the fresher Jamara puts up a hell of a fight. She doesn't see the Vulture Culture Destroyer coming, though, and Nixon takes the 1-2-3. I don't know why it says a foreign object there. I have no idea. But, you know, what I've booked is what I've booked. And sometimes the game, apparently, does not play ball. So we go to another video package. And we're doing the video package tonight. I said I was going to keep it very non-meta. Doing the video package tonight just because it's the easiest way to introduce characters on an opening show. I'll talk about that more at the end. But we introduced Carl Fredericks. And he talks about having made a name for himself in Japan. Of course, Carl Fredericks, the former Eddie Thorpe, as one of New Japan's young lions, and being told he had all the potential in the world. He says that when the offer came in, he moved to Florida and proved himself over and over again, but couldn't ever seem to quite build any momentum. He talks about how he was surprised, given everything that's happened in his career so far, that he was offered a chance to compete in this tournament. But he takes that as a vote of confidence in his ability from management, and maybe all he needs is a little confidence. Then we go to Adam Scherr, who's backstage being interviewed by Kayla Becker. She asks him how he feels about tonight, and he says that it's BS that he's being forced once again to prove himself. He's the monster among men, one of only 2 world champions on the entire roster, and he's being forced to audition like he's a rookie. Well, he tells us he's had to control his narrative before, but if anyone's going to do the sensible thing, save everyone a lot. If nobody's going to do the sensible thing, save everybody a lot of pain and just hand him the title, then he'll have to do what monsters do. And we get what apparently is an exceptional match where Adam Scherr defeats Carl Fredericks in 10.5 minutes by stoppage when Carl Fredericks got continue. The actual booking I've got here is that Fredericks tries to put up a really good fight, but the big man's just fired up and angry. Once he gets full control of the match, he just starts beating his opponent down, just hits him with multiple running power slams, but never covers. He's just beating him down, hitting him with finisher after finisher. And then after a while, the referee just stops it and gives Scherr the win, so the medical staff can get in and check on Fredericks, and which gives us obviously Adam Scherr as the winner, going through to the next round. And then we're back into one of the video package here, and I decided to let this go unscripted because I feel like these three are quite good at being unscripted. It's not worked out, but that's another meta thing. Elena talks us through her rise through the Indies, how she went to Florida, and the company tried to turn her into something she wasn't. I was never some skateboard bimbo, she tells us. Elena Black is a fighter, and we shouldn't mistake her agility and athleticism as anything more than window dressing on her Chicago street fighting background. Courtney Stewart's next, and she talks about being a standout performer for her entire career. Doesn't understand what she's done wrong over the last year. She reminds us that almost a year ago, she became a Women's World Tag Team Champion and was considered a rising star. And yet, 8 months later, she was being told she wasn't good enough and let go. She says it hurts, that it feels like a betrayal, but it lit a fire under herself not to let herself be ignored again. And then next up, it's Saraya. And she talks about how she shocked the world by becoming a world champion on her debut, how she changed the entire business, became the first female wrestler to have a movie made of her life, and then, in the blink of an eye, she broke her neck and was sidelined from the business. She says the road back has been long, but she proved she could do it by becoming world champion again, until the fans found some shiny new toys and forgot about her all over again. But she's come back from worse than this, and she's going to do it again. And then next up, we've got what the game again considers a superb match. And in this match, we've got Elena Black and Courtney Stewart getting preoccupied with fighting each other. And Stewart really shines through at times, but Saraya's experience tells her to stay out of things. And once they've worn each other out, she gets in the ring. She takes them both down with, it says a rampage here. I've got her with the page turner. And before she eventually covers Black for the victory to take this one. And then after the match we've got Saraya helping Courtney to her feet. She helps her out of the ring and puts her arm around her to help her up the ramp. The announcers question whether there's an alliance forming here or if it's just some mutual respect. Then we go backstage to Kayla, where she's in the loading bay. Ryan Fredericks is being loaded into an ambulance. She tells that she's spoken to medics. Obviously, we've got a few road agents hanging around as well. She tells that she's spoken to the medics, who say that they don't think he's been permanently injured, but they want to take him to a local medical facility just for some checks, just to be sure. We then go to another video package, and it's Fabian Eichner talking about coming up through the ranks in Europe, where he was always considered one of the best the continent had to offer. Then after years of working hard, beating guys down, he gets a chance alongside 2 of his closest compatriots, and they take over and dominate an entire company, and then he gets hurt. One man becomes a world champion, the other breaks it on his own, and he goes from Imperium to In Purgatory. He warns us that just because he isn't with those 2 guys anymore doesn't mean he isn't every inch as dangerous as either one of them. Then we go to Shinsuke Nakamura, who, as always, is a man of few words. He's not the biggest talker in the world. He says that he used to be known as the best in the world, the king of strong style. He came to America, made an immediate impact, but never felt like he got the respect he deserved. He won a world title and still nobody respected him. He wrestled on the biggest stage in the world and never felt respect. He says that he needs to take respect tonight. And then we go into a really good long match that unfortunately has been classed as poorly placed on the card. We sort of delivered a technical master class here as well. And essentially we've got Aichner just being really aggressive, purely brutal. Nakamura will take punishment, he'll give it back. It's just a bit of a scrap here. And I've got him as eventually hitting the Kinshasa to go over in this one, but I really could have gone either way on this one. And yeah, good 30-minute match, really giving the crowd one of those kind of longer matches that we'd hoped they'd like, but apparently it just wasn't fully placed properly in the card. That's life, it happens sometimes. We go backstage now, and we're with Kayla in Shane McMahon's office. She asks him for his thoughts on the title tournament so far, with one match left to go tonight. He tells us that he thinks we're shaping up for a fantastic field tomorrow. That he announces that Shinsuke Nakamura will be facing Bishop Dyer in the semi-final, while Adam Scherr will face Mike Quackenbush. He says he's going to be paying close attention to that second match because he considers the way Scherr treated Fredericks to be incredibly unprofessional. In terms of those eliminated, he says that if Carl Fredericks is cleared to compete tomorrow, he'll team Oliver Carter against the team of Fabian Aichner and Cedric Alexander, as well as two of the best free agent tag teams in the world in a ladder match for the men's world tag team titles. He also tells us that we'll see a 5-way tag team ladder match between the teams the women eliminated from the tournament for that title. He tells us that obviously one more match is still to be decided, but he's already been told that Casey and Lacey intend to team up, and that Shotzi has requested Jamara as her partner. At that moment, Saraya walks in and tells Shane how excited she is to complete her comeback by becoming world champion tomorrow, but that she's learned that her career can be taken away at any time. She's going to be a leader and a mentor in this company, and with that in mind, she's going to be mentoring Courtney and Bea, and she'd like to make it known that they're going to be partnering in the ladder match tomorrow, and that all three of them will be leaving with titles. We then go to our final build package of the night. Valentina talks about how proud she was to be the first Brazilian woman to wrestle on TV in America, and that she's had the honor of representing her country both in the ring and the cage. Now she says that she wants the honor of being her country's first world champion. Priscilla Kelly tells us that she's been the most visible star in wrestling in 2025 already, having competed for championships in 2 major promotions and proven that she's the benchmark for competition in women's wrestling. She tells us to never count out a gypsy queen, especially when there's gold in her path. And then finally we go to Shayna, who talks about her year so far, how she led a group of the toughest women in the world to make an impact on the big stage, how she went to Bloodsport and showed how tough she was, yet she scared all the little girls in WWE so much that with her dominance that they kicked her out for the safety of the children. She says that she doesn't think it was a WWE decision, but a UFC one. She says Dana White knows she's a killer, and that's why he wants her as far away from his moneymakers as possible. Their loss, though, is her gain. She heard there's another world title and a company where the women don't run in fear from competition. She says that she looks at the entrants in this tournament and they've all got one thing in common: toughness. She respects all of them, but toughness only takes you so far, and technique does the rest. She knows Valentina can go on the mat, but with a third in the ring with them, they're not going to be able to establish the pecking order tonight. We then go to our final match of the night, where we have a decent match and seems to have got the crowd going, which is really nice. Every time Shayna and Valentina try and trade holds and kind of sell who that best fighter is, that best MMA fighter is, Priscilla gets involved and just wants to fight them both. They eventually gang up on Priscilla and get her down. And then with her floored, they both lock in an armbar, so we're ignoring the finish here. They both lock in an armbar, not thinking of how she's supposed to tap in that position. Shayna eventually realizes what's going on, breaks the hold, rolls Priscilla on top of Valentina to break the pressure, then takes a reverse armbar on Priscilla. Priscilla can't move, Valentina is weighed down, the shoulders are down, the ref's counting the pin, which would of course give the win to Valentina. But as the referee gets to 2, Priscilla taps out. And the announcers, of course, they're confused, the referee's confused, Priscilla thinks she's won, as she naturally would. Shayna thinks she's won. We go to the replay and we confirm it with the referee. Priscilla tapped before the referee could count the 3, and Shayna wins by a fraction of a second and goes through to the final. Obviously, after the match, we've got a bit of a post-match. First up, Priscilla's really angry. She's getting in the face of the referee. Meanwhile, Valentina offers Shayna a handshake because she was outsmarted, and she holds the ring rose open to let her leave. They leave together, and the camera follows them to the back, so we're leaving Priscilla behind in the ring. They leave together, the camera follows them. Daria meets them at the curtain and congratulates Shayna, and they continue to leave together. Passing King Kota, they go past Carissa, they go past Nixon and Soraya, who stood with Courtney and B. So we're just kind of giving that last. These guys are who are in the final. These are the important people to remember for tomorrow night. As they turn a corner, we go out into the parking garage where Kayla tries to grab them for an interview, but before she can get a question out, the 3 of them are jumped by a whole bunch of hooded figures. Security piles out to intervene. They jump into a black SUV and speed off. And our last image as we fade out of the show is Daria, Shayna, and Valentina laid out on the floor hurt. So obviously it brings us to the in-game post-show. Overall rating of 39. I'm quite happy with that, given how we started. I ignore the 68 people. One of the limitations with TEW I always find is that a promotion starting from scratch obviously has zero popularity because no one's ever heard of it before. There's no brand recognition. There's no nothing. It doesn't really take into account the names on the card for attendance as much as it should do. But I always feel like it's odd starting a promotion as like a medium-sized promotion when it's not established itself yet. So I'd rather do things the hard way and make up for it that way. We'll go through the individual things on the card in just a second. Once we've done this, we'll go back through it. I want to address the locker room. I feel like it's probably a good time. We're going to single out some workers. There are a lot more people on the card than you think, and there are some names in that. I think I am going to grab. I'm going to grab Carl Fredericks, I think, if I can find him. Alphabet Strong. We're going to give him some encouragement just because we're going to point out as a good example. He's done very, very well today. I also want to grab probably Cedric Alexander as well, because he has definitely done some good things. They seem happy with that. That's good times. Right, finance I'm not too worried about. We've got a lot of money, essentially because I was trying to overcompensate for the fact that you never really start with the right popularity. So I just wanted to make sure we were kind of safe. Looks like we've done not too badly. We've made a loss of a few thousand, but nothing that's going to cripple us in the immediate. Popularity-wise, obviously we've gained popularity everywhere because we've never had a show before, and we're not going to do a media scrum because there's not a lot of point in doing that at this stage in proceedings, because what media is going to show up for a first show where they don't even know it's Shane McMahon behind it at the time we deliver the show, you know? So we'll let the loading do its thing. It's going to take a second. I'll come back when it's done, because otherwise we'll be here all day. Because here we are then back at the home screen. Ricky Chosu is going to retire, which is probably about time at 73. I'll be honest, I'm not going to do any of the signing of people on this screen. Let's have a look at the results. Let's talk through what happened. Let's talk through what we got out of them, what we were expecting out of them, and all that good stuff. We'll, of course, start at the bottom. We'll go through it that way, which hopefully it will let me do. I'm hoping, because if it doesn't, we're in real trouble. It's let me click on it, and it's not letting me show you anything. I don't know what's happening here. So apparently it's not going to let me click into matches as we go, which is fine, because I'll just talk you through it from this screen. That's absolutely fine, as long as everything is working out there. We'll make everything else work out here. You know, that's how it goes. So, a few pre-show matches in here. Essentially, I didn't have enough bodies for the Women's First Impression Rumble signed. They may have already signed, but I just wanted to make sure I knew what the landscape of bodies in the California area was in terms of people I could bring on one-night deals. So I've brought in a bunch of people. I've tried them out just to see who can add something to the match. If there's someone I've missed here that can maybe add something to the company, I did find a few names, which we'll talk through as and when they appear. And then, of course, we have the card itself that started. I want to start with that Shane McMahon opening promo because, first of all, we've had, in real life, I've tried to kind of base this off of now, in real life now. We have had a lot of talk of, will Shane McMahon go into business with Tony Khan? Is Vince McMahon trying to come back into the industry with his own company, all that kind of stuff? I feel it's a really nice way to play off of both those things. Obviously, this is YouTube in 2025. I was never going to do a Vince McMahon focused promotion because I value my sanity. But yeah, it was nice to kind of have that little tease that this could be Vince, and then revealing it was Shane just as a sort of nice opening thing. I really liked having him talk about in that opening promo how he was trying to sort of restore his family's name and second chances. I wanted to go through a lot of his own kind of personal history with, with the ECW purchase and the UFC purchases. There are true stories. They're genuinely known stories that he did go to Vince and say, look, we should buy these, and got told they'd never make any money, and he turned out to be right both times because, that's how that goes. And then we move from there, obviously, into our card runner. The thing with first shows, I have, in real life, in fact, booked half a dozen or so first shows for promotions. They are the worst things to book. They are truly, truly painful to book because you've got a bunch of talent that you've got no real idea the reception they're going to get. You can make an educated guess on the reception they're going to get, but you've got no idea of what reception they'll actually get until you put them in front of an audience. So that was... it's tricky. It's always a tricky balance. So the reason I set this up as a tournament show, and B, in the kind of a little bit rigid style that it's in, is just because it's the easiest way to introduce people to characters and to who is involved and stuff. So I started out here with having Shane introduced as like the guy behind it all. And then we went to Kevin Kelly, Jonathan Coachman, and Jerry Lawler at ringside. I put those three on the desk because I felt like they were a really good combination. I know Kevin Kelly's had some issues. As far as I can tell from the stories, you can't really work out who is right and who is wrong. I quite like Kevin Kelly as an announcer. I thought he did very, very well with New Japan, with Ring of Honor years ago. I haven't managed to watch enough AEW to get an idea of how well he was doing there, but that's largely because I just find Tony Khan's booking intolerable. But yeah, I tried having to do that thing where, you sort of have him ringside doing a straight to camera. This is what you're going to see on tonight's show, because obviously very little promotion and hype would have gone into a show like this, because you couldn't really do the promotion and hype without saying Shane McMahon's here. You can put a few photos on a poster and say who's going to be there. But this kind of really formalizes the card and the format. And with the tournaments thing, again, I didn't want to just do straight one-on-one, best of 8 kind of tournaments, because I feel like AEW does 4 of those a week and people are burned out on them. I do, though, feel like tournaments are the best way to build up a credible champion with a new promotion. So that was kind of why we went to that standard tournament format, the 4 2-on-2 matches for the men's tournament. But then that will feed into the losers get a chance to be tag team champions. So we're doing something with them. We've set up, there is going to be a tag team title match coming up. We've set up that there's some stakes in there for them as well. We've kept the second chances theme going, but I like the idea of having a battle royal as well and adding a third person to that title match just to switch up the dynamic a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting. Likewise, on the women's side, having those 5 triple threat matches really felt like it was different to having a straight, one-on-one tournament. It also gave me the opportunity to, because I don't have any really established women's tag teams aside from Casey and Lacey, to just kind of start toying with what I could build in that tag team division, what I could put in that tag team division whilst exposing everyone as individuals and just kind of testing some stuff out with those guys. So now I've got that match all kind of set up and ready to go there, which is nice as well. And then obviously we're going to have that kind of 6-pack challenge women's main event for the world title tomorrow with the 5 winners, just to really just kind of add that and the battle royal in there together, just keeping everything sort of fairly reasonably going. So I just went into that Kota, Casey and Lacey match. Really good opportunity, I think, starting with this match. Dakota Kai obviously has been on TV a lot over the last few years. She's very well established as a face in the industry, as a, she's been a recognizable part of some of the bigger storylines in WWE for the last few years. I feel like she'd be a real get for a promotion like this, and that she's someone you can sort of make a pillar of this division. She's got the talent, she's got the ability, she's got the visibility. I quite like Casey Catanzaro. Obviously, Casey Catanzaro and Lacey Lane are Caden Carter and Katana Chance, were Caden Carter and Katana Chance in NXT and in WWE. So we've got that established relationship. I liked having the tease in there that Casey might actually be a heel, because they've both been baby faces on TV for so long that it's an interesting chance to switch things up. And I didn't have a heel in this match from the bell, so it was nice to kind of play on that and just kind of test the water, just see how that shapes up. Gave me a chance to build that and then build that tension in Casey and Lacey going into the tag team title match. We've got kind of Lacey being this kind of straight-laced, like, look, we don't win like that. I don't want to be that kind of champion. That's not how we're going to go. And it ends up costing Casey the match. And we've immediately started off the ball rolling on something story-wise with that, which was a nice place to go with that. We then went to the Quack and Cedric Alexander hype. I know this is going to be controversial among wrestling fans in the comments for so many reasons. First of all, let's address the Mike Quackenbush situation. He was accused of some stuff during the speaking out thing, and originally I was just going to have him on the roster and not use him on the shows. He was going to be the guy that I would put in pre-show dark matches that I could use to kind of test people I was trying out, like the local talent, against, just to see how they look, because Quack, for all his alleged faults as a human being, is an incredible performer in the ring, knows talent, is really good at getting the best out of talent and getting good matches out. And then as I started putting this card together, I realized I didn't have enough babyfaces, enough good guys signed that were credible on that side of the bracket. And second of all, it gave me a chance to kind of use Quack as this kind of all-encompassing face of the indies. Like, he does kind of represent that kind of group of indie guys that never really got a chance to break out and make it when arguably they were good enough. I want to show like this isn't just going to be like, let's give second chances to WWE guys. We are going to bring in some indie talent. We are going to make the best of that as well. And this was kind of why I was saying, yes, that's what we're going to do. And I put him over Cedric A because I think Cedric has the ability to recover from a loss better than most in this tournament. And B, because Quack's so good at making people look good that by putting him in that next match up in the tournament, I can have him make a bigger guy look really good. Because realistically, Adam Scherr, Braun Strowman and Baron Corbin aren't necessarily, they're not Bryan Danielson. They're not going to give you a world-class match every time, but if you put them in the ring with the right guy, they'll have a really good match. And that's kind of what I was going for with having him progress in the tournament. We then go to the hype package for Daria, Carissa, and B. Priestley. I'm a really big fan of Daria. I unashamedly a really big fan. One of my favorites in recent years, WWE. So she was always going to kind of get a little bit of a spotlight. But I also really like Carissa Rivera. Carissa Rivera was, of course, Elektra Lopez in NXT. Her dad is, in fact, a fairly well-known Puerto Rican wrestler from sort of the 90s, or 80s, 90s, quite a good talent, was genuinely a very, very good talent, who arguably didn't necessarily get the opportunity to break out as much as he should have done. So I really wanted to work with that and to talk about how, I don't like the stereotype of every Latina wrestler must be angry. So I wanted to kind of address that elephant in the room, really build a character for her on that, where, she's not an angry Latina. She just happens to be a Latina and angry because of how she's been treated. And that's going to be kind of her motivation as the heel. With B. Priestley, I wanted again to kind of touch on a lot of that real life stuff, because there was a real accusation when B. Priestley was first coming up through the industry that she was getting chances because she was dating Will Ospreay. And I don't think it's entirely fair, because I think she's a very good worker in her own right. And I could make a very strong argument in the right company that she's probably as good a worker as Will Ospreay is in her own way. Obviously, she doesn't do a lot of the flippy stuff, but in terms of the pure kind of old-fashioned sports entertainer, she's just as good as he is. And she's definitely actually earned her place in the business. She's earned that respect. So that was kind of what I was going for with the angle. And again, we get that match, and I put Carissa over because I really want to kind of have her as a person we can get some good stuff out of. So that's why she's gone over. And again, it was a lack of heels in that division as well. Kind of forced my hand a little bit, but it's given me a chance to build some really good stuff going forward. And I think you're going to really like what we do going forward with her. So next up, I'm just trying to work out where we're at and focus my things. I'm trying to deal with the fact that OBS doesn't like EWS. Let's make that bigger. Hopefully that will help make things easier to see as well. It's all very new. It's all very new and shiny. So next up, we went to Bishop Dyer and Oliver Carter. Now, Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin, has had a very good career. Depending who you talk to, either was never given the push he deserved or was pushed beyond his limits. I really liked him when he first came into NXT. I liked the fact he'd just come in, he'd smash through a guy, put them down, and he really started falling down, I think, for me as a gimmick when they started 50-50 booking his matches. And what I mean by that for the uninitiated is when you've got a big guy like that who's a kind of powerful, dominating figure, they lose some of that aura when they have a match with someone who puts up too much of a fight. You just lose that, like, this guy can kill people. So that's kind of what I was trying to restore here. I won't be using Oliver Carter as a jobber going forward. He would be a kind of second tier guy. Again, a guy I really like. That's why I kind of established his credentials as being a well-traveled international star. He's won championships. This guy will come back from this. He will have a future with us. He's not just making up numbers in this tournament. He is someone I do have a long-term vision, a long-term plan for. But I also needed to have that establishment so that when Bishop Dyer puts him down quickly, this is something serious, like he's a real threat. We then go to Shotzi, Nixon, and Jamara. Shotzi and Nixon were a tag team in NXT, and I really liked them as a tag team. I'm a big fan of Nixon Newell. Shotzi less so, but I do see the upside, and Jamara is someone I can do things with here as well. Again, it came with a nice baked-in storyline. I didn't want to do the same thing I did with Casey and Lacey, where they were friends and then maybe they're going to turn on each other on what's going to go on, or to make it absolutely clear from the outset that Shotzi thinks maybe she might be friends with Nixon, and Nixon absolutely is not her friend. And these guys are not done with their storyline just yet. Nixon going over again just to put another heel in that final. Shotzi and Nixon will continue, but also I've developed the Shotzi and Jamara thing as well, where I want to have them team up. I have something coming out of this, or at least for a little while, where the idea is that Jamara has earned Shotzi's respect for what she's done in that match, and they're going to try and make the best of it as a team. We'll see how that plays out as we go forward, is sort of the thinking there. We then go into Adam Scher and Carl Fredericks. Carl Fredericks, of course, Eddie Thorpe in NXT, a guy who got some decent pushes that never went anywhere. Looked really good in New Japan when he first came through. Really did look like he was a next big thing kind of guy. And for some reason, it stalled a bit. I want to try and restore some of that, try and use some of that. That's why I didn't just have Braun Strowman, Adam Scher murder the guy in the ring, but also I did. I want Adam Scher to be this kind of unhinged monster who he's angry that he's not just been handed the title, and if you're in the ring with him, he's just gonna beat you up. Like, he doesn't care about beating you because he figures if you don't have enough respect for him to just hand him a title with all he's done so far in his career, why should he respect you enough to play by your silly rules and pin a guy? He's just gonna beat him up. And so that's what we've gone with. We've gone with a ref stoppage for that because it just really puts over, like, you know, Carl Fredericks put up a fight as best he could, but Adam Scher's a monster. He's going to beat someone down. If he's not going to be stopped, the ref will have to stop him. Then we go into Saraya, Elena, and Courtney. And it's one of those situations where, as a booker in real life, as well as in a game, you have to really put your feelings for the characters and the people involved to one side a little bit. I really like Saraya. I think I've known Saraya since she was about 14, when she was first coming into the industry, if not younger. I may have met her even before that. So she's someone that I have known for a long time, and I have to kind of have that on one side. Like, I'm working with the character. As much as I'd love to give the person a big push and a big payday, the character is what comes first. Elena, the former Cora Jade, one of my absolute favorites. I love Cora Jade. I'm such a big fan of Cora Jade that I want to do something with her. And Courtney Stewart, Isla Dawn, another really great talent. Really great talent. If you asked me to pick a winner of this with my emotions, I couldn't have done it. I felt like Soraya's the best bet for this as a winner because she's the biggest star of the three, in terms of, overall kind of fame. So that's why she's gone over. I would have something coming out of that match as well. And having her with Courtney, I think there's a really good opportunity because Saraya, I don't want to have her in the ring too often. Obviously, she has had a history of injuries. You wouldn't want to be using her every week in the ring. You want to go a bit easy on her. Having her build this relationship with Courtney and B, obviously they're all Brits. Saraya will have been someone that B and Courtney will have looked up to coming up in the industry. So have her kind of be able to step back and manage and mentor those as well when I'm not using her in the ring. Keeps her on TV without me having to burn her out in the ring is essentially what we're going with there. So that's why we've got those guys established as having this relationship together as well. We then go to the loading bay where we've got Fredericks being loaded into the ambulance. Just again, selling that, like, Adam shared a number on him, and that, like, will he make it to the tag team match tomorrow? It's just building some intrigue for the next show. We then go to the Nakamura and Aichner hype video. I chose to have this as the last men's match on because it is the biggest matchup in terms of the two stars being matched up. Obviously, Shinsuke Nakamura, legend of the industry, definitely a top star almost anywhere he goes. Now he's leaving WWE. Fabian Aichner, of course, is Giovanni Vinci in WWE, or was Giovanni Vinci in WWE. Never fully understood what the point of that gimmick was, but I want to play off some of that Imperium stuff. Like, he has been presented as being kind of a bit of a heartless, ruthless monster, and I want to use that for his character going forward. Again, it was a case of the natural two heels to be in the next round of the tournament were always going to be Cher and Dyer because they are your two kind of big guys. Shinsuke should be in that sort of final four as well. Aichner, unfortunately, to miss out, but unfortunately, I don't see him as a face, but it's fine. He's not going anywhere. He's just, He's just unfortunate to lose this match. It does give me a very good match in there as well. I'm not entirely happy with a 41 rating for that. I thought it would do better. In fact, I don't even know if it was the best match on the card. In fact, I can see it's not the best match in the card. It's lost out to that Adam Scher match, and it's the only match it's lost out to so far, which is fine. That's okay. Well, I'll cope with that. Again, great match. We put Shinsuke over because Shinsuke's got to be one of the final four. We then go to the interview with Shane McMahon, just again recapping what's happened tonight, reiterating this is what's going to happen with everything you've seen tomorrow. It's all building to something. Gives us a chance to have Saraya come in and introduce, like, I'm with these guys now. I'm entering them as a team, and that they're going to be. They've decided to team up. I've decided to team them up for the tag team title match going forward. We then get this hype video with Valentina, Priscilla, and Shayna. Obviously, three very good talents. I really want to play off the fact that Shayna, whose name I will never learn to spell, you'll see it misspelled several times throughout the video if you want to check, and Valentina, who is Valentina Feroz in NXT. Both MMA backgrounds, natural kind of allies slash rivals slash enemies slash whatever. Priscilla very much the odd one out. She does have a little bit of a background in hardcore wrestling that I will probably touch into a little bit, but made sense for Shayna to be the winner here because, again, she is the bigger star of them. But I want to have that kind of partnership, first of all, with Valentina, and also then bringing Daria with it as well. Kind of put the three MMA fighters on the same page. And then we did the thing where obviously they left through the backstage area. We walked past all the rivals for the women's title match on the next show. And then we took them backstage and they got attacked. Just again, leaving the cliffhanger. I have got a plan for there to be a feud that comes out of that, obviously. Having the three MMA fighters being targeted by a group of random hooded women without revealing who they are really sets up the kind of future of the women's division, which we'll see going forward. Starting with the next show, we'll start. I'll sow the seeds of that properly. But yeah, it was just a kind of come back and watch the next show is what we're doing with that. Gives us a bit of a cliffhanger. Again, I had this in the main event purely. Yes, I thought it would be a very good match, and it did turn out to be a relatively decent match. Did really work with what we were trying to do, but it was all to set up that kind of end of show cliffhanger, which is what we are looking to be achieving. Then we had another couple of post-show tryout matches where I'm just throwing bodies at the wall. Some of these in these two matches are actually signed and will be in the Battle Royal, but yeah, it was just kind of a bit of that to get out of the way. In terms of other things, I assume there's been no massive swings anywhere in terms of popularity for any wrestlers. We are coming back for the next show, which will be called First Impressions in game. Happens on the following night. It probably won't be out tomorrow, if I'm honest, but it will be out as quick as I can get it out. But in game time, it is the following night, the second part of our kind of launch weekend that we are doing. But yeah, that's kind of the big catch up on where we are with everything so far. In terms of the other meta stuff that we should look into as well, broadcasting wise, I've set up so we will have we've got our own like subscription service. It's just kind of a placeholder there for everything's got a subscription service somewhere. We also got the events being shown on YouTube. The TV show is going to be shown on MTV in various parts of the world. It felt like a really good fit for what we were doing. Kind of we've got kind of a little bit of a punk rocky vibe that we're trying to build. It just felt like the right place for that to take place, essentially. So we've got some TV deals with various MTV brands across the world. Yeah, we're building slowly. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the show. Do let me know if you've got any ideas about how to make the presentation better, if there's anything you'd like to see me do. If you've got any suggestions, any comments, any questions, I'll do questions. If you've got questions about like why I've done a thing, how I'm doing a thing, as I said, I have booked in real life, never anywhere big. Like, I'm not like Vince Russo putting on a funny accent. But if you've got questions about like how various things work with booking, you feel free to ask. I'll try and explain it as best I can as I make these decisions. I said it's the first show. First shows tend to be very bland. It's really hard to do a really good first show because you've got so much you need to set up, really. But I promise you, things will start feeling more natural. They'll feel more organic as we go forward. We've got those things set up. We've got the Casey and Lacey thing set up, which I feel like I should give them a name, but I can't feel. I just feel like Casey and Lacey feels like a 70s cop show. We've got the Nixon, Newell, and Shotzi thing that we've already set up. We've kind of started building this thing where we've got Adam Scher not really being a fan of rules too much, that we've set up as well. We've started setting up the Soraya and B and Courtney group that, again, I need to find a name for, and I haven't really thought of one, but I'm sure I'll get there. So little things, like little seeds just being sown that they'll grow into bigger stuff. You'll see as we go. But for now, I'm gonna wrap the episode up there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Like I said, do let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that YouTubey stuff. And yeah, I will see you hopefully for the next one. In the meantime, thank you for watching. I've been Chasing Lanely, and I'll see you next time.